this session and all of them that we're going to learn today, BeEzrat HaShem, should be dedicated to Rifash Lema, our dear Rabbi Yaron Ruben. His name is Yaron Ben Doris. Also to Yemim Rasi Rachel Zvindel, Ariel Orabas Anna, Yehudis Bas Noach, Shlomo David Shlomo Ben Sandra, quick release Moshe Shmuel Ben Pnina, and also Tzlacha Rabbah to Giveres Chana Bas Abraham Avinu, the whole family. BeEzrat HaShem. So we continue today with our class Shabbos Home. Shabbos Home, and we start new chapter. Chapter was it 27, scraping. Memechek, scraping. So meaning scrape the the hairs from the hide. Section number 1, Av Melacha. Memechek, scraping, is one of 39 Avos Melachas of Shabbos. Each Ava Melacha is based on activity performed during the construction of the Mishkan. One such activity was scraping the hair from the animal hides, right? That were used for the Mishkan's covering. The Melacha of scraping is based on this activity. So it's very interesting that what we just covered, I think, last week in the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch. Right, we went through on a summary of these 39 milachas, and I don't remember how many, maybe 5 or 6 milachas were actually connected to the making, the discovering, meaning from the Mishkan from hides. And scraping is one of the steps. Okay, so av milacha, so scraping the hairs to prepare for. Make a leather from this. Okay. Number 2, definition. So as we already see on a biblical level, it has to be for some practical for some positive results. So you don't want hair to be there. Okay. Don't want hair to be there in order to produce something. Okay. So memechek, so it's scraping, is defined as scraping a rough surface in order to smooth it out. So now we see how many things is going to be here, right, under this melacha. So meaning scraping a rough surface in order to smooth it out. Okay, so we'll see. So section number 3, material to which the melacha applies. The melacha of scraping applies whether smoothing the surface of the item causes some of it to be scraped away. Here are some example hides, right? So meaning, of course, so meaning again, you try to smooth something. So when these hairs stick out from the hide, of course, when you remove the hair, now it's smoother. It's not completely smooth, but much better than before. So again. Hides. Once smoothed animal hides by scraping away the hair. So that's classical example from the Mishkan. B, stone. For example, scraping away the rough surface of the stone wall. Okay. Right. So C, wood. One who sands rough wood scrapes away its top layer. Okay. And D, leather. See practical application. So so leather, we have to be careful when we remove a mud or something when on Shabbos, right? So some people have leather soles of the shoes, and some of them have rubber. So rubber is not so easy scraped, but leather, I think it's much easier. So let's see. So from the beginning, when we go to practical applications. Scraping leather shoes, right? That's the most applicable to us. It is forbidden to forcefully rub leather against the thin edge metal object, right? Or by doing so, one scrapes away bits of leather and smoothed it out. Right. Therefore, one who wishes to remove the dirt from the leather shoes may not forcefully scrape them against the piece of leather, piece of metal. Sorry. Although his intention is to simply remove the dirt, he will inevitably, good word, scrape away a thin layer of the sole as well, thereby violating the melach of scraping. One is permitted, however, gently to rub the leather sole against the metal, or for a gentle rubbing is not necessarily the result of scraping the leather. One is permitted to forcefully rub the leather sole of one's shoe against the pieces of wood or the stone pavement, for these items do not scrape the leather. Okay, so let's see from the beginning. And smoothing, of course, we're going to write. Smoothing is tolada of this thing. Okay, so let's try to understand from the beginning. So scraping the leather shoes. So out of all of this, scraping the leather shoes, like cleaning the leather shoes, is going to be on the rabbinic level, or on the biblical level, right? Is it on biblical level? Maybe not. I mean, it's not on biblical level. Okay, take it back. Sorry. Okay, so again, it is forbidden to forcefully rub the leather against the thin edge metal object. So I mean, I think it's in the suburbs, and so sometimes people, for example, living in suburbs, and they have to go to shul, and sometimes they have to go along the highway. Right, and a nice summer day, maybe it's pleasant, but when it's raining, it's not so pleasant. Some people stay behind, I guess. They don't walk, right? But people who walk, of course, like there is no pavement there, right? And the shoes have all the mud, so they don't want to come with this mud in their house. They want to clean their shoes on the edge, for example, of the steps. Some steps, if they have like a metal edge, sometimes they would implant the corner bits on the steps. So this would be forbidden if a person have this leather soles. But I think only like it's not like an expert in shoes, but I think only like a dress shoes, very expensive shoes, a person will have this leather soles. But others, like the rubber, I think is more popular today. And plus, it's better for traction. It's not good as slippery, I think. Okay, but we got the idea. We're talking about leather shoes. Therefore, one who wishes to remove the dirt from the leather shoes may not forcibly scrape it against the piece of metal. So metal is going to scrape, right? But not other things, right? Although his intention is simply to remove the dirt, right? Or some people in suburbs, they have this like metal brushes, like upside down brushes, and that's how they remove the mud. It would be also forbidden. All the metal things, right? He will inevitably scrape away the thin leather of the sole, as will thereby violate the melach of scraping. And on this, okay. So meaning, right? Scraping meaning, of course, it's not your intention to smooth out the sole of the shoes, but but it's inevitable. That's what's going to happen. One is permitted to, however, to gently rub leather shoes against the metal. So right, or gently rub for gentle rub will not necessarily result in scraping the leather. So meaning in some instances, like when it's inevitable, something for sure happen, it would be forbidden. But when it's maybe it's going to happen, maybe it's not going to happen, and it's forbidden on a rabbinical level, so our rabbis would say would rule leniently. Commentary: it is forbidden to rub a dry mud, right, over the shoes on Shabbos, since the mud crumbles and violates melacha of tachein, grinding. Right, very interesting. I mean, it's a different topic, but quickly, just since they put it for us. So, for example, a person here, as when at the stand we were talking about wet mud that got stuck to the soles of the shoes. But the dry mud that dried on top of the shoes, I guess, right, on the side, some the person did not see when he wore them, right, is a problem. So if it's wet, you can remove it. You can wash it away or just remove it with a napkin or something, right? But when it's dried completely, you cannot remove it. Why? Because and same as pants sometimes like have right this spots of mud right on the pants. So you cannot clean it. Why you cannot clean it? Because you're going to grind. So now it was a clump of mud stuck to the shoes, and now it's going to grind into pieces. And we have melacha that forbid us grinding. And grinding, just quickly to remind us, we said the grind that everything that grows from the soil, meaning what? All of the vegetables, right? So grinding, and we said grinding, it's grinding like a classic case, it was grains and you grind into this, what is it, flour. That's everybody understand. But we said grind only the talada also when you cut something in chop something in small pieces, right? So that's it is forbidden. But if things do not grow from the soil, we said that does not apply. So what is it like? You want to do what is it? Egg salad, right? Tuna salad. There's no problem. Even chop finely, there's no problem because they don't grow from the ground. But the earth it does grow. It has part of the ground. That's why we're not allowed to mud. Right? Dry mud is part of the ground. We're not allowed to crumble it. Okay, continue. One is permitted to forcefully wrap the leather sole on one shoes against piece of wood. So wood, of course, nothing going to be right because it's soft. Right, so the wood is softer, or the stone pavement. Okay. So why stone pavement is not going to? Maybe if because it's smooth also. I mean, that's my explanation. Okay. That's why I think he said carefully. It's a pavement. Okay. So meaning it's flat. So most likely you're not going to apply so much pressure to scrape it. Okay. For these items do not shape the leather. Okay. So meaning that's why it is allowed. Okay. Right. But the way I understand, people in these places should wear rubbers. So rubbers, the things that you put shoes inside of the shoes, so oversized from all the days. That's what people used to wear, everywhere because there were no payments. You right, even in the cities, unless there is maybe the main roads in the city, what there was made of stones, but otherwise you would have muddy streets. So the people would work with rubbers, but then they need to go to the shoe. They would remove them, right? Or you need to go to your house, so you remove them before you go to the house. Okay. So number 5, smoothing, right? So now smoothing is talada, of course, as we understand, but it's right have wider application. He's going to say the soap. We'll see. Okay, so smoothing memareach, right? Smoothing is a talada of melacha memecheik. So scraping in order to smooth the surface, right? So it's talada. Av melacha. Just I apologize from the beginning. Smoothing is talada of scraping, an activity whose form and purpose is similar to the av melacha is talada, or a subcategory of av melacha. Whether the Torah prohibits a given melacha, the prohibition includes both av and all of talados. So again, I'm not sure why he just explained today. Now we're in chapter 27. I'm not sure. I don't remember. We said it before because we knew it. I'm not sure. So basically now we have description of the talada. So talada is a subcategory. So subcategory means something very similar to Av Milacha, and it is forbidden on the same level. So some people, I'm not sure where it came from. Not sure. So they think that talada is rabbinical. It's the talada is not rabbinical. Whatever, the talada, the way I understand it, it's on the biblical level, and whatever is in forbidden on a rabbinical level, it doesn't matter. It's like they in the same category. So but in a biblical level, you have Av Milacha, right? As the way it was performed in a Mishkan, and the talada is something similar. Subcategory. Okay, so continue. A definition. So smoothing, of course, as we said, it's like a broader application. Much memarech. So I'm not sure why they don't translate, but memarech is a smoothing. Okay, it's defined as a rabbin or a smearing a thick glutinous substance in order to smooth out the surface. Example of beeswax. Did we do it or not? Tar or animal fat. Rubbing and spreading these similar substances in order to smooth them is forbidden by Torah law. Somehow I think that we did it, but we continue. Doesn't matter. So we will review again. Okay. So again, the definition is just one second. Defined as rubbing and smearing a thick glutinous substance in order to smooth the surface, and that's how they would make these hides. Example, beeswax. So how exactly they do with the beeswax? I don't know, right? Maybe like waxing today they do. Tar or animal fat. Okay, rubbing and smearing these or similar substances in order to smooth them. Is forbidden by the Torah law. So meaning that when they rub into it all these substances. So again, after sometimes they're not going to stay with the leather, right? Later on you would need to remove it, but in the meantime to make it smoother, that's how you're going to apply. So that's the definition of all our creams, right? So that's why I thought that we did it, but okay, maybe I'm mistaken. I don't know. Okay, continue. Okay. So that's all our creams. Okay. Torah prohibition. Okay. By Torah law, one is forbidden to smooth out any substance that is thick enough that hold the shape. Right. So meaning you put the finger and it stays the shape. Beeswax, stick deodorant, and desitin. In other words, if the substance is thick enough that if one pokes a hole in it with his finger, the hole remains even after the finger is withdrawn. It is a substance whose smoothing biblically forbidden on Shabbos. Okay, so let's do this Torah prohibition. So again, the Torah prohibition forbidden smooth out any substance that is thick enough to hold the shape. So meaning like all of these creams, I'm not sure what would be exception. There is some like smooth creams like balsams they call it, right? Which is like free flowing, and there is some creams. I don't know the creams that. Like in the second category, so the first category is you poke a finger and it's going to stay like this. Second category, it would be like flowing, but very slow, right? And very slow. But if you poke a finger, so after some times maybe it's going to close the hole. And the third category is free flowing. So the free flowing, as we say, there is no problem whatsoever. Okay. Right, so this is going to like a thick substance is going to be forbidden on a biblical level. So now we're going to rabbinic prohibitions. a less thick substance. Substances on a level, less thick substances, sorry. Substances of lesser density are not included in biblical prohibition of smoothing. However, the sages were concerned that allowing people to smear these permitted substances would lead them to smearing forbidden substances as well. They therefore extended this smoothing prohibition to include less thick substances too. For example, an example of the substance prohibited under this decree is very thick and heavy oil. Such oil does not hold the shape after laying on the surface for a while. It becomes flat and needs no smoothing. Nevertheless, smoothing is forbidden by rabbinic decree. Thick lotion are included in the rabbinic prohibition. So I'm not sure if we have these oils today. I mean, maybe in commercial environment. I'm not sure. But our oil, it's free flowing. Okay. So let's do this rabbinic prohibition. I guess less thick substance, right? So meaning again the same. If we pay attention, we see the logic continue again and again. So meaning people would not see what the difference. And I deal with this thing like from time to time. And the person asked me the question, and in the description of the question, sometimes like I say, why would a person say so? And I see the problem with the question. So the problem is a person doing something. So and I ask it happened to me some time ago, not too long ago. So I said, why would you say so? Like I'm not answering the question. I have a question on that person's description of the question. And the person said, build up the whole logic chain, how they drive to this conclusion. I said, it's not wrong. It's not right. What I said, it's not right. The thing was forbidden on a rabbinical level. I understand on biblical level, the things are not forbidden. But you cannot derive one from another. I mean, if you are big posek, as we going to learn today, Rabbi Zilbershenshlita, yeah, that's their job. They do derive, but simple people who do not even learn it, people we just follow yes or no, like this book. You don't even go to Paskim, you don't go to Shulchan Aruch, to Mishnah Berurah. I mean, Mishnah Berurah is always clear, but sometimes he said, but some say, and he gives sometimes two opinions. Sometimes he leaves the question open, meaning when there is some contradictory rulings, so we go by and get ruling from our rabbi what to do in this case. Okay, so meaning don't derive things one from another. Okay, I mean especially in halacha, sometimes they would be, but sometimes it's not. Right. So, but for sure, our rabbis forbid it. Why? Because person would do this thing, and the next step is going to be that do something that's forbidden by biblical law. So again, the substances of lesser density, right, are not included in biblical prohibition of smoothing. Period. Right. So meaning right. So they would not hold shape. However, the sages were concerned that allowing people to smear these permitted substances would lead them to smear forbidden substances as well. So meaning they start with this and they say, what is the difference? What is the difference? Right? They therefore extended this prohibition of smoothing to include less thick substances too. And I would say that, for example, would be parallel that that you cannot have, for example, a non-Jew open your store and work for you, right? So why? Because it's only a matter of time that you're going to come and just to see how he's doing, right? Without violation any melacha. You just let's say there is no alarm, nothing in the store. You just open the door and he's in the cash register. He's buying, he's selling, usually not buying. So he's selling to the customer, everything is good. And then he said, apologies, boss, can you watch the register? I need to go to the bathroom, 5 minutes, 3 minutes, like, please. Yeah. And now you hope that nobody's going to come. And guess what? Somebody comes. Somebody does come, right? And now what are you going to do, basically? Right? So a person cannot wait and say, look, my boss is coming, please, here's the money, right? And guess what? You open the cash register. So meaning our sages knew our what is it, mentality, like psychology, not mentality, psychology, and that's why they forbade many things that actually allowed on a biblical level. Right? An example of a substance prohibited under the decree is very thick oil from Shabbos 145A for 145B. This thing that we learn from I don't know, on Monday, I think, about this snake has relations to with Chava, right? And all of this impurity that the people of the world have, it's actually on the same page. Shabbos 145b at the end, in the very end. So you see, it's about oils. What's the connection? I'm not sure. It's very interesting. The same page. Such oil does not hold its shape, right? So again, it's very thick oil. I'm not sure what oil is it, but very thick oil. After lying on the surface for a while, it becomes flat. So again, while. So I mean, if you're talking about olive oil, it's not. The while is there's no such a thing. While it's going to close all the gaps right now, right? Right. It becomes flat and need no smoothing. Right. So there is some this thickness, for example, could be there is some, they say, self-leavening substance, right? For example, you have a crack in your sidewalk, and you fill with this thing, and it's going to self-level by itself. Is it like very liquidy? It's not. It's not, but it's self-leveling. So it would take some time. Very interesting. So these things are forbidden in the rabbinic decree. Thick lotions are included in this prohibition. Okay. So all of this that you have to squeeze from tubes. Number two, placing thick substance without smoothing them. By biblical law, right, one is permitted to play even thick glutinous substance, such as beeswax or fat, onto the surface on Shabbos, provided it does not smooth it out. Right? However, the sages, so meaning that the act is not finished. But of course, this substance would be considered like muktzah for us. Why? Because there is no practical application unless there is like ointment and you need to apply it like in case of a rash or something, like a person is suffering. So it would be exception. Okay, so again, on biblical level, one is permitted to place the even thick glutinous substance, such as beeswax, into the surface on Shabbos, provided he does not smooth it out. Right. However, the sages, so meaning it's only part of the melacha, were concerned that one who places this type of substance onto the surface will unthinkingly smooth the substance and inadvertently transgress the Torah prohibition memerech, meaning smoothing. Therefore, they extended this memerech prohibition, this smoothing prohibition, to include even placing these items on the surface without smoothing them. So our sages, again, as we learned before, try to have in your hand sponge, right, that absorbs water and not to squeeze it. It's very hard. It's very hard not to squeeze it, because that's what we do. Sponge, you squeeze. You just clean up the spill you go to the sink, for example, to put the sponge down, and guess what? Automatically you're going to squeeze. That's why sages say don't use sponges, use napkins, right? Or other things that you usually people don't squeeze. So here, yes, like technically, if you put some you put some with I don't know with a finger, just dab on the surface these creams, right? There is not prohibited, but it's only a matter of time when person is going to try to smooth it in, and this is forbidden. That's why sages say don't do it, right? But we go. But since it is allowed on a biblical level, we actually going to use this approach in case of the medicine. The rabbinic prohibition applies even to two times of lesser density, so meaning second category, right? Whose smoothing is forbidden by rabbinical law only. Accordingly, it is forbidden to apply thick oil or to a wound on Shabbos, even if it does not smooth out the oil. Okay. So this oil or like this creams that it's not liquidy, but it's as we said, it's going to level itself, right? Right, we're not allowed to apply. Of course, it depends. As we said before, there are three levels of sick people, right? So it depends on severity of this wound or something, right? Or sometimes burned, so somebody burned themselves with fire, with electricity, right? So in this case, it's hurt them a lot. So in this case, in some cases, it would be allowed, and we're going to discuss how to apply it. So next one is D, substances that excluded from the prohibition of smoothing, right? Thin liquids such as ordinary oil or vitamin E oil. So ordinary oil, as we said, I think we had discussion. Maybe it was why it's so familiar to me. Maybe I discussed it in somebody asked a question of chop hands. I don't remember, something like that. So in this case, yeah, you can use olive oil, and that's what our ancestors were using from the beginning of the time, right? The olive oil, right? Or baby oil, also like very good. Vitamin E oil, right? Are not subject to the prohibition of smoothing, since these liquids are without thickness. It's not possible to smooth them. Okay. Therefore, one is permitted to smear that substances into the surface on Shabbos. Okay. Okay, so we will see in practical application, like in what sense we can smooth them. Okay. Just let me quickly check time. Okay, so let's do a little bit and we stop. So let's do one more. Applying. So it's E. Applying the prohibition of smoothing to items of food. Right. Smoothing item number one. Smoothing item of food. The poskim disagree as to whether or not the melacha of smoothing applies to items of food. Rema in Orach Chaim 3:21-19 rules that it does not. The reason is that the food can be eaten without being smoothed, and smoothing does not create a beneficial change in food. Therefore, it is permitted. By contrast, smoothing non-food items is beneficial. For example, it aids their use, therefore it is forbidden. However, Rema concludes that in certain situations, one who is acts stringently in the matter of smoothing foods is blessed. This stringency applied to foods that is smooth for decorative purposes, such as icing on a cake. Since in this case, the purpose of smoothing is aesthetic, right? It does not create the beneficial change in food. Therefore, if one one should preferably refrain from smoothing these foods for this purpose. Okay, so let me first move the bookmark. Okay, so let's see. So applying the prohibition to smoothing to food items. So okay, so poskim disagree whether it is applied to food items. So meaning like if it's going to be a little smoother, not smoother, like technically it's absolutely irrelevant. So if you spread put a spread on piece of bread, if it's a little thicker on this side or that side, like if it covers the whole piece of bread, not the whole of piece, usually people do not care, but some people very very particular. And we had a guest like, and this lady, young lady, she was so particular. Like we finished three times or four times, but she was all like put all of these. Things around her was very. It's a little annoying to be around a person like that. Very interesting, right? Like take time, and then remember, right? Guys like that, like also like just finish it. That's it. Like the sandwich, like takes exactly 3 minutes to eat, 4 minutes, five, but that's it. Don't make it to a 20 minutes meal from this because of perfection. So Rama says, Rama is Ashkenazi authority, so it does not. So meaning smoothing does not apply to food, right? So meaning why? Well, it's very, very simple. He said that food is edible as it is. So whether the person spread the butter or some spread on top of the bread, I mean, as we said, it's absolutely irrelevant. Like it's edible without the spread, with the spread, double spread, right? It's still good. Okay, right? That's why it's permitted. Right. By contrast, when they do non-smooth, non-food items, so it is for beneficial purposes. And as we said, for example, I mean, we did not say, but we're going to say, like some medication for sure. Right. We want to cover the whole area. Right. So the whole affected area. So the smoothing, like for sure, it's for beneficial services. But Rima said, right, whoever acts stringently in this matter, smoothing is blessed. So, and that's many times Mishnah Berurah also said that. No, I love beracha. So meaning hamachmir, meaning again, so somebody who's machmir, so stringently. Again, it's not halacha, but he's going to be blessed. So meaning if it's for aesthetic purposes, so maybe don't smooth. This stringency applied to food that is smooth for decorative purposes, such as icing on cake. So it's of course it's proper to finish these cakes before Shabbat starts. Okay. Since in this case the purpose of smoothing is aesthetic, it does indeed create a beneficial change in the food. So it looks better, right? Right, it looks better, and it's not going to taste better, but it looks better, more appetizing. So meaning that's the issue. Therefore, one should preferably refrain from smoothing foods for this purpose, but just to cover the whole cake, just in case whatever happened, they completely forgot. Just to cover like without smoothing the edges, that's not a problem. Okay. If, however, one spreads the food in order to cover the large area with it, like spread butter on a bread, right? But does not care whether the surface appears smooth, this stringency does not apply. So again, just to cover the area, there is no problem because of the first opinion. Okay. Therefore, one is permitted to spread the thick food, like butter, egg salad, tuna salad, onto a slice of bread on Shabbos, provided, right? So meaning these thick substances, right? They would be forbidden on the biblical law if you think about it, right? But food is different, right? Provided that one is not attempting to make the surface, the food appears smoother. Okay, so you saw some people like tuna salad, egg salad on the piece of bread, slice of bread. There is no problem. So just put it on top and that's it. Don't try to smooth the edges so it's not going to fall from this side like that. So remove from some places. That's too much. That's too much. Okay. But otherwise, so we have to be careful. Continue. We explained above the melacha of smoothing applies to various animal fats and oils. All of these are food. These items of food, animal fats and oil. So I guess when they say animal fat, it's not halaf. It's not like forbidden internal fat. It's different fat. And oils. Oils usually edible. Okay. These items of food. The prohibition concern cases in which these items are being used for the purpose other than eating. For example, lubrication. Foods that are used for other purposes may not be smooth on Shabbos. So if they use it, like in older days, as I understand, like these halves were used in the wagons, right? You have wagons that driven by a horse. You need some lubrication, so they would use this animal fat. Okay, there is no problem. So is it right? Even though it's not halal, even regular fat, right? So meaning, is it edible? Yes, it's edible. So meaning that for lubrication it would be forbidden, but for food it would be allowed. Okay. Next one, and the last one, and we stop here. Squeezing food out of a tube, right? One is permitted to squeeze the food out of the tube, even though the food is smooth when it emerges, right, from the tube. So like it's not you try to squeeze one ketchup. It's not your like a idea to make the ketchup use smoother, right? Since one who squeezes tube is not smoothing the previously uneven surface, the affirmation stringency does not apply. Yeah, ketchup, all of this mayo, all of these things. Okay, so let's stop here.